Hey everyone, we have a very special guest today. I am blessed to have known this guest for over 15 years. His name is Dr. James Lefever. He grew up in Temple, Texas, deep in the heart of Texas, graduated from Temple College, then later went to study at Parker College of Chiropractic in Dallas, Texas. This is where he received his doctorate of chiropractic and Bachelor of Science in Anatomy and Health and Wellness. He attended a seminar while he was at Parker College in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is where he met his beautiful wife today. Since 2008, Dr. Lefever has been a doctor for thousands of people, not just in the surrounding cities from Las Vegas, including Summerlin, Henderson, but also has been a doctor to patients in other states, visiting him from California, Arizona, Utah, as well as international patients traveling from Canada. Dr. Lefever started a brand new practice in 2017 called Alignology, where he offers services like regenerative medicine, chiropractic, and other amazing top-notch services where he's able to treat people to get them well. Dr. Lefever has 3 amazing little children, and I've only been blessed to meet 2 of them. I have yet to meet the youngest. Starting from the top, it's Liam, then Mila, and JC, and all 3 of them are amazing. During his downtime, he loves weight training, jet skiing, quads, being outdoors, but most importantly, spending time with his friends and family. Now, Dr. Lefever's favorite quote is "Health comes before wealth" in the dictionary for a reason, because without your health, wealth is obsolete. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all give a warm welcome to one of my best friends in the world, Dr. James Lefever. Well, Dr. Lefever, it is great to have you on today. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Doc.
Yeah, on this show, we call it Life by Design, where we ask questions because our viewers really want to know how you have designed the life that you have made for yourself. And sometimes, we ask challenging questions. It's okay. Just be ready. We just ask for this. The one thing we ask for is just being authentic and genuine. That's it,
I'm
man.
ready to
And I
go.
know you're all about that. You're all
Yeah,
about that.
that's my
So,
middle name. Let's go.
during the intro, um, we talked about how you're from Texas
Yeah,
and how you're now in Las Vegas, one of the busiest cities in the world. How, you met Rita, right, in Nevada. Tell
yeah.
me about your transition from Texas to Las Vegas. How was that?
It was actually scary, man. It was tough because I got this amazing girl that I met, and what was wild about it at the time is my uncle that I was staying with in Dallas, going through chiropractic college, was a pastor at a church, and he's like, "You're moving to Vegas for a girl?" And crazy thing is, he's the one who ended up marrying us and gave us his blessing. So, but
Wow.
just like Texas and that whole Bible Belt going up, there's just as many churches as strip clubs and liquor stores, all in one, I guess. So everybody thinks you go to Vegas to indulge, but really, there's actually some pretty amazing communities out here, and we've been very blessed and fortunate to be a part of some of those. And we got a great church out here that we call home, and we stay away from the strip clubs and liquor stores.
Yeah,
But
your office is nowhere near. Your office is in like one of the best areas, upscale areas in Las Vegas.
yeah,
How did you ended up? I mean, when you first moved there, you were working with other doctors, and when
yeah.
you opened your own practice, that was a scary thing. I knew because we've known each other for, I was counting back almost like 15 years
Yeah, yeah. I
since I've
think
known
I've
you.
cried a couple times to you, man. No, it
Hey,
was scary. It it's definitely more natural. We start out as an employee and realize we learn what to do and what not to do, and then I started learning what great leaders are, and I'm looking at myself as a role model, and um, uh, I definitely look up to you, and I look up to a lot of people in our profession, and different professions out there that are doing things successfully in a way that's empowering and developing not just our patients, but the community around us, and enabling them to understand like they got to take care of themselves because they only got one body. And as an employee, I realized that I was kind of confined to a certain set of rules and regs that I didn't really agree with, and so developing our own systems and processes, and over the years just growing into now what we have today at Alinology is I'm super grateful.
I want to take you back to that when you first were working at other offices. At you mentioned your goals and your values and what you guys were doing were not in alignment with what you're
Yeah,
doing. At what point, because there's a lot of doctors, right, that could be working at other offices that were on the same boat. I know of a lot of doctors on that boat.
yeah.
At what point did you realize, man, I need to I need to do it on my own?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Immediately, actually, it was right out the gate. I said, I don't know if this is gonna work for me, but I want to learn as much as I can until I can make that jump. And while I'm learning this, because I knew at one point I want to have a team of people too, and I don't want people on my team to feel the way that I did. And I know that some of the practices that I was in had like the husband and wife, like husband practitioner, wife management. And I knew my wife, she's just an amazing leader. She's in the Air Force. She's empowered women through her breast cancer journey. She's crushed it doing holistic and allopathic things. And so I felt like we have to do this in a way that is going to not only better serve our guests, but better serve our team. And I want to help a lot of families. So if we're going to do that, we have to do it in a way that's more strategic, and um, really just developing leaders was what came to mind years ago. I was like, I have to develop myself first, and I'm still developing myself, and I'll continue to develop myself till the day I die. But we have yeah, we have a great team today because of that and because of the journey that I went through. And I think the same for you, man. I've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We shared a lot of the similar practices together as we have grown, right? What
Yeah.
is coming out and breaking out on your own? What was the most challenging thing that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it? Whether it's people, whether it's business, can you share a little bit more about that?
Honestly, just faith in myself, because, and I still struggle with that to this day. It's more of a, faith, confidence, and belief that I can do it. And I just got to remind myself every day that I'm going to be better and I'm going to do better. And I think making that jump from being dependent on somebody to writing a paycheck to being dependent on myself writing the paycheck was a big deal. And then that plays into a whole other things because, man, I've already told you this. Like, if I could serve without having to, having people pay for me, I'll do it all day long. But that doesn't grow a business, and that doesn't create legacy for anybody. And I see so many things, so many different businesses and family organizations. We can talk about the beginning of America if you want. But when I see that, I'm like, wow, how they did it is maybe not in agreement or in alignment or synergy with what I would say I do it as. But I can't just sit there and point fingers if I'm not going to do it myself. So let's start this family and let's create synergy and let's create alignment with our faith, confidence, and belief that we can help other people and not only monetize and be successful on it, but be profitable enough to do it for generations to come.
No, I agree, because when people think about money, and I always think, and I've heard someone says, hey, you don't want to just make money just to make money. But a lot of people hate on people who have money, who have made
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah,
But then also, if you ask them back, like, hey, what's the big picture? If you want to donate or if you want to give back, how in the heck are you going to give back if you're not making money yourself? It just doesn't make sense.
no, doesn't make sense. Not at all.
Right.
Money is just a tool. It's a tool or a vehicle that we use. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. That's something that I had to overcome and learn myself. I mean, my mom growing up, my parents separated when I was very young. I was 5. My mom to this day is still single. So I had this mentality that I got from her was just that, like, from a from a almost like a scarce mindset, and it's something that I'm still learning today to help teach her and my other family members that we got to get out of that.
I didn't know about that fact.
Yeah, yeah. She,
Wow. Thanks for
it,
sharing that.
yeah, you got it, man. No, I with patients too. I have single moms that come in, and my heart goes out to them. I'm like, man, I know what it's like. I know what it's like, but we're gonna find a way to get you the care you need to be successful in overcoming these health challenges. And I've been there before. I'm still there.
Right. I bet, as you have been designing your life, that's got to be one of the hardest things to break through is something that has been ingrained into us
Yeah,
from, I mean, since you were 5. My
yeah,
mom and dad in Hong Kong got a divorce when I was 5. I didn't know that. I didn't know your mom and dad separated. My mom and dad separated at around 5 as well. I could
yeah. All the
remember.
years, man, we haven't talked about this. We buried
Yeah,
it.
how exactly? We buried it so deep into our
So
minds that
deep.
we don't even share it. That's
Man.
crazy. But how did you break through from this? Like where at what point does Rita play a huge role into it,
Oh
or
man,
tell me
massive
more?
role. So I can definitely share too that it was. I think it was our second year together with my wife. I got underwear for Christmas from my mom. I was like, Mom, I can't. I can't get underwear from you anymore. I got a wife now. You know what I mean? Like, so it's things like that that it's real because my mom feels a certain way. She feels like she's got to care for me, and I feel a certain way too about my mom. I mean, my dad is still part of my life, and he remarried, and all that's good. But I think there's something to be said for, it's like as a man, like as you are, and you want to take care of your mom. There's something that keeps almost like pulling you back from re-ingraining that path in your brain. It's like I don't want it to be scarce. I want it to be abundant. So I got to think like 3 times abundant to outweigh 1 time scarce. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a daily thing I work on even with my kids. You'll love this, man. Liam, my son is 12 now, and Halloween's coming up, and he's like, "Mom, Dad, you got to see this. This Iron Man mask is it's awesome. It comes apart. It's got lights." And I'm like, "Whoa, check it out, bro. That's awesome. $131." I was like, "Hey, bro, you know what? I'll split it with you." My mom, I never had that conversation with my parents when I was growing up. When I was 12, forget it. My son's got more money than I did when I was 15. But he
I
seems like,
remember, yeah, asking for like a GI Joe that was $3.50, and I felt bad as a kid.
yeah, it felt terrible. It's like, Mom, can I have a piece of candy? It's like, no.
Man, how you mentioned your kids, and part of what I like to ask about is like how do you growing up a certain way and your kids being raised completely different than you were raised have opportunities that like you said, just the toys alone is huge, right? How are
Yeah.
you kind of molding them into something different? For me, I always look like, oh man, I don't ever want to raise my child the way I was raised. I want to give her more opportunities. How are you and Rita doing that?
Yeah, similar. So, and things I want to earn it, right? So, like one of the things we do with our team is we trust them abundantly first, and this trust is earned. And so same thing with our kids is, man, I trust you. I'm going to give this to you. And if you carry the ball well, then I'm going to have a reward at the end. And the reward's not going to be like, something that's going to be ill to your health, like a soda or a piece of candy. Right? I mean, how many parents reward their kids with things that are taking them down the sick path? I want to keep staying healthy. And so we'll do things like family outings, and we'll talk about like, nice, my kids love sushi. It's like, imagine that.
Oh, we know.
Man, smash it, right? And it's getting worse, man. He's like, I want lobster and I want drawn butter. Like, all right, dude. So we're gonna have to work for this. I'm gonna need your help. So getting them to value what it means to have those things that do cost more. And I don't want them to think like we can't afford it, because that was my mindset. My mindset now is, how can we afford it, and how can we invest to afford it, and then eventually how can we invest to make money work for itself to afford it, and getting them to already think like that. And they're watching YouTubers that are 12 years old doing unboxing for toys and making millions and stuff. So that seems intangible for them, but I think what most kids now don't realize is that they have a better vehicle than we ever did at our age to
Oh,
not only
huge.
be successful, but just to live the life they want, and using money as a tool, as a vehicle to provide freedom for them.
Now, tell me more about this. You jumped into this freedom,
Yeah.
right? Does money ultimately mean freedom to you? And what type of steps have you done in your life to accelerate that for yourself and your family?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it really wasn't until so we had these ideas of having this great chiropractic practice, and it was just all about chiropractic, and realizing that the core of chiropractic was pain, and we're really pain managers. And if we understand how we can be better than the best painkiller on the market, we tap into a much bigger market, then we need more help on a team to be able to target that. So I went from thinking like I was the solo ranger, Clint Eastwood, blazing piezoforms chiropractor that's going to heal everybody, to I want a team of people that can heal everybody from all kinds of, like, we have a Chinese medicine doctor. He's Oriental medicine, acupuncture, that's been around for 2,000 years. And I was crazy not to have somebody like that on our team, because it just helps with the synergy of being in alignment with, minimizing painkillers and over-the-counter medication, and then having a multitude of different ways that we can generate revenue while we're still serving people with that same purpose. We don't have that purpose, we're not going to get to the goal that we want to do. So the purpose always comes first, and having a team on that same purpose is going to allow for not only our freedom to be able to step away from the practice and to be able to do things we enjoy as a family, but to be able to also help other people. And kind of like we said, like, I can't give if I can't get, so I need to get so I can give more for other people's freedom.
I believe that just knowing you, the amount of time I've known you, you're the biggest giver that I know. And it shows that in your practice, because your practice offers some of the best services out there in the world, all packed into one place. Just 2 days ago, one of my friends sent me an MRI of his mom. And when I was going through the MRI with his sister, who happens to recently move to Vegas, and was like, I'm going through the same thing. I said, I got a perfect doctor for you. So she's going to be reaching out in a couple days. And she asked me, she says, well, should I go do this? I said, don't do anything until you see Dr. Lefever.
Awesome.
And she says, okay.
I love it.
Because I know
appreciate
you're
that.
gonna do it right by the patient, and like you always have.
We have to. I appreciate that. It's definitely a core belief, because if it doesn't serve them well, and if it's all about the bottom line, then we haven't served them yet, and that's what it comes down to. I think even when you look across the practice from a management standpoint, and eventually from like an IPO or a platforming standpoint, we can duplicate it. Some of the aspects of the practice don't have a great ROI. In fact, our infrared sauna doesn't have a great ROI at all, but we use it as a tool, as a resource, as a supportive measure to, I think other big companies call it loss leaders. And I look at them as a loss leader in the practice to continue to serve. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, when you talk about the infrared sauna, it's almost like our vitamin injections.
Yeah.
There's not a huge ROI
Oh,
about
no.
that, right? So, but it helps so many people
Yeah.
in that
People
fact
people
where it's
want
like you
it
got to
too.
add it in.
They want it, they need it, and oftentimes they come into the sauna and they'll do like a 3 or 6 month membership, and we're just like, you should probably get one for your house. And it's kind of like that aha moment, and now they're going to be healthier, and they're going to have that sauna in the house, and they're always going to think about who recommended that for them. And that's kind of my thought process is I want to be in every person's life that comes through here for the rest of their life. And if we can do that for them in some capacity, that's what we're here for.
What inspired you going back to alinology to start alinology instead of sticking with the Align Your Spine chiropractic clinic? What was the big inspiration behind it?
Just the need for, building, kind of like that, building a team and building that legacy. I was just looking at like all these chiropractors on the corner, like there was nothing that really separated me from them other than my technique. There's only 300 chiropractors in the world that do any kind of upper cervical work that we do, right? So it's like, but it kind of stopped there. And in order for it to keep going, we had to build something bigger than Align Your Spine and have something that appealed to more people than just a spine, because most people think of spine and cracking. It's like, well, we don't sell crack at our office, so it's like you might hear a crack, but that's not the main vision, right? You can go to the joint for that. Um,
Yeah.
but having that medical integration was really pivotal, and it was really in the middle of the night. I woke up at night and I was like, man, alinology, like the study of alignment. It just made sense to me, and still for some people it sounds more like chiropractic, but that's where the story behind the logo, the story behind the word has weight. It's almost like Starbucks. If you move here from another country and you've been in the jungle for 10 years, you might not know what Starbucks is. But when you see the logo, you see the line, you hear the story, you know Starbucks.
There you go. Does when you put everything together, um, did Rita's story and her health, if you like to share anything about that, inspire some of the services that you guys have today?
Yeah, I mean, we literally went out of state, out of country just to get the care we needed for her. And I thought, wow, I mean, how many other people are doing this? And I was just dumbfounded that like we had to do what we had to do for her. So we wanted to get as many services under one roof as we could to be able to support not just cancer patients going through that support journey, because definitely not curing cancer by any means, but for people who are going through that, and for the different testing that we needed for the different like vitamin injections to support that. Most people are going to multiple different clinics to get that. So that was really a huge inspiration for us. And then the energy component was huge because I didn't realize that we talk about health as physical, mental, social, and spiritual, but we don't really tap into like the social and spiritual or even mental too much. And that's where energy medicine comes in. And she's able to tap into that too with some energy healers. So that's part of why we brought like counseling and energy healing and immunology.
Wow. See, just the fact that you mentioned the energy aspect of it just shows how much thought you put in to building the clinic that you have today. When you look at folks back at home in Texas,
Hmm.
do you feel like they're really? I feel like they should be, but do you feel like they are really proud, or your mom is really proud of what you've built?
Oh my gosh, overwhelmingly proud. I mean, the whole family is. They just want to see me more.
Yeah, like James
Like, can
broke
you
out.
come visit more? Yeah. It's like, well, we'll come visit more when we can step away from the practice more, and that's the idea is to be able to travel with them and experience life with them more than they've ever had.
Right. In terms of life, like the next 5 to 10 years, what does it look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question too. The next 5 to 10 years, we're looking at being able to franchise in linology, be able to have other clinics and maybe even other cities, just kind of letting that grow naturally. But we've got buy a building as our first immediate next step, just to have real estate. Right now
Nice.
is not a great time to buy, but having a building to be able to invest in long term and then help other people buy the buildings, buy an asset to be able to run the practice out of.
So you
So
agree
that's
that real
next
estate is eventually going to be one of the ways to go?
150%. We got to get some real estate action.
Yeah, I mean 90% of the wealth in millionaires are built by some form of real estate. When you talk about
Land,
generational wealth,
building. Yes, yes, I agree.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey,
McDonald's is a real estate company.
people don't realize that, right?
That's,
They
I mean, I don't like McDonald's, but I like their business model. I think it's great.
Yeah, people think they're all about burgers, right? And it's fries and burgers and drinks, but it's really about, real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Starbucks is like a bank.
It's a
I mean,
bank.
if you think about it, like they literally have, I think it's over $2 billion just in gift cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I have a couple
And
$100
funny,
in it that just sits there.
seriously.
Now, Dr. Lefever,
So,
if you were to go back, this is my final question for you, and look back at you, your younger self. Let's think back 15 years ago when we first met. I think that was a good time to like it's a like a pivot point, right? For our lives when we're right
yeah,
out of school. What advice, because there's going to be other doctors watching this who are just starting.
100%.
If you were to give yourself an advice to a younger you 15 years ago, one advice, what would it be?
I put some thought into that too because I knew you were going to ask me that. And that took me a long time to really think about because I always think about what I'm going to tell my future self. Like, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to get better. But if I had to go backwards, one of the big ones is make healthier choices because the impact and the things that I did back then and knowing what I didn't know has actually affected me greatly today. Um, from gastrointestinal, from a testosterone, things that we don't even think of. Like I'll give you a great example is I didn't realize my testosterone was like in the 400s because I didn't have any symptoms other than brain fog, like just mental clarity. It take me longer to think of things, and when I realized that, I'm like, man, I could I could be 3 times faster because my testosterone should be 1200, so it's 400, and I get it 3 times faster, and that's why I actually talk faster now. So, in head trauma, I had a lot of head trauma, and I never got care when I was younger. And so that's why I love talking to kids now, especially younger athletes. Like, man, you got to get checked because it won't affect you now, it'll affect you later. So just making healthier choices and encouraging parents of those children, of myself, getting my parents to make those healthier choices.
Wow.
The second one was just start self-development now. Don't wait because now is the time, and there will never be a right time to do it, but the earlier you can consume it, the better. And I'm starting with my son that's 12, my daughter that's 8. I'm getting them to start developing themselves now because I want them to be like light years ahead of my wife and I. And a great thing I love about my wife is she's completely on board with that, and she's grown a lot herself in ways that maybe in the future podcast she can share with you. But no, like Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Stephen Covey, Seven Habits for Highly Effective People. That was a big one for me. But these are all guys that have left legacies, and I'd love to do that kind of thing in the health space. That's what we're gonna do. So number 3 is just getting also my younger self to teach what he learned to his family, because that's the best way to learn, is to keep teaching.
That's great. Wow, those are some really top golden nuggets right there, you know? Thank you for sharing that. How do people reach out to you? What's the best way? Say if there's young doctors or patients out there, what's the best way to reach out?
That's a great question. You know, we got an amazing website. We finally got it set up, so you can just go to linology.com. Send us a message. That's probably the easiest way. You can shoot us an email at james.lefever. It's Lefever at linology.com. Dr. Tam will give you hopefully we can leave it somehow. I don't know how you do that thing in the link below. I've seen you do that.
Oh yeah, we'll drop all that, the link below.
Drop all that stuff. You can call the office. Honestly, anyway, I love helping young doctors, and not just doctors, but other professionals, because there's so much that we have to learn from each other, and there's what is it? Are we going on 8 billion people in the world that need help? So the more we can help each other, the more we can help one another.
I agree.
Come to Vegas, you can stop by and visit, take a tour, and we'll chat it up.
Who needs another reason to go to Vegas, right? Here's another one for you.
Hey, 10X Growth Con, that's what you need to come see. Grant Cardone and the 10X team, Gary Brecka. Oh man.
Absolutely.
They're amazing.
Well, Dr. Lefever, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you.
We appreciate you guys too, Dr. Tam. I love the team you have. Give our love to Helen and Addie. And man, you've definitely got an amazing family and extended family with your team too. So appreciate you guys, and we'll definitely see you soon.
Hey, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. See you next time.